All right, guys, welcome back into another NFL DFS video. My name is Eric Paulzini with 9 to 5 Sports. Going to be getting into the top value plays here for Week 4. Now, Week 4 is not as sexy in terms of value plays as Week 3 was. Just recapping Week 3 value plays, we gave you guys Devonta Smith, Matt Collins, Greg Dortch, Josh Palmer. For some reason, they didn't give Josh Palmer a touchdown at the end of the game. Just the NFL didn't care about it, even though he got 2 feet down. Strange there, but it was a pretty solid week for value plays last week. It is not as sexy this week in terms of that, but we do have some good names, okay? And possibly by the end of the week, that might change where we do get some better value plays. As of right now, as of Tuesday, we have some solid value plays, and maybe that'll change. And, if that does, I'll have that in the cash plays video for you guys. But without further ado, let's get into these plays. The first one is going to be Marcus Mariota. So if you guys watched the quarter plays video, you already know that I'm going to be on Marcus Mariota and another quarterback. But Marcus Mariota is just in a strong price point range. Once again, this week at 5.6. He has been very solid thus far. And the thing that I like the most about Marcus Mariota is going to be the matchup with the Cleveland Browns, actually. The Cleveland Browns gave up 19 points to Baker Mayfield, 30 DK points to Joe Flacco in Week 2. And then in Week 3, they gave up 15 DK points to Mitchell Trubisky. All three of quarterbacks in which have just been terrible on film thus far this season. Okay, Marcus Mariota, on the other hand, has looked good on film thus far this season. His lowest DK point week thus far has been 16.4 DK points, which at this price point, I would take. I'd be fine with that. I do expect him to have a better week than that. The biggest issue with Marcus Mariota is that he just hasn't been passing the ball enough. His passing attempts has actually went down each week from 33 to 26 to 20. Now, if this game is a little bit closer and maybe they're playing from behind, which eventually they're going to be doing, then obviously he's going to throw the ball a little bit more. But Marcus Mariota at this price point, I do think is a safe play, and he could even get to 20 DK points for you. I do really like Geno Smith going against the Detroit Lions as well. We look at what Geno Smith did in Week 1 against Denver, going for 17.2 DK points. We know Denver is a very solid defense. That was impressive. In Week 2 against the Niners, a divisional game, kind of a natural letdown spot for the Seahawks. It made sense that he struggled, but then he bounced back last week against the Atlanta Falcons, getting 22.9 DK points. That was both eye-popping and surprising for me. Okay, Geno Smith going against the Detroit Lions, a matchup in which is going to easily be his easiest matchup thus far this season. For a guy that's averaging 15.7 DK points, for a guy that has Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf and Noah Fant as passing weapons, it makes a lot of sense to end up on Geno Smith at 5.4. Okay, and it's just like one of those matchup things. It's one of those price point things. At 5.4, Geno Smith is just one of those plays that I just might be ending up on if I don't pay up at the quarterback spot. And then I will just say, someone like Matt Ryan, if you guys want to play Matt Ryan, you can, going against the Titans, what you'd be hoping for from him. And he has looked like Baker Mayfield without legs, which is bad. That's not a good thing. 300 passing yards is what you would want, and a touchdown. Okay, that is what you would want. All right, so getting into the top value running back plays, the top one is going to be Rashad Penny, who played in 69% of the running back snaps or the offensive snaps for the Seattle Seahawks last week. And I think that was a lot due to the fact that Kenneth Walker is kind of struggling mentally when he's on the field. He's made a few mistakes on the field. So that just means they're going to go with the old reliable Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny did look good last week. He wasn't used that much in the passing game, and that's going to be the worry. That's kind of the issue with Rashad Penny. But at 4.9, to get a guy in one of the best matchups on the slate going against the Detroit Lions, that's highly intriguing to me. He might be someone that I end up on in my cash bill as well. I think right now, just given the price point, just an easy player to start off with. The issue with him is literally that all the Seahawks are pretty cheap. Okay, like Geno Smith and Rashad Penny, that's a weird way to start off a build, but they are both very cheap in a very easy price point, and maybe that just becomes a game that we end up stacking by the end of the week. From there, for running backs, sure, any NFC North running back that's a backup running back, not named AJ Dillon, is firmly in play in terms of value because they are priced down a little bit from what they would be if they were the starter for over a week. You got Jamal Williams, Khalil Herbert, and possibly Alexander Madison. Those would all be fine options if you want to go that route. They are all kind of value-based plays. I do like them. I do like Dameon Pierce still. Those are kind of obvious plays, pay down plays if you go that route. I don't feel the need to spell that out. This is going to sound weird, but a play that I do want to point out because not many people are going to notice it is Justice Hill, who actually led the Baltimore Ravens in snaps. It was 45% Justice Hill, 43% J.K. Dobbins, so not a big difference there, but Justice Hill has been their best running back thus far. And I know J.K. Dobbins is coming back from an injury, but in a very, very limited sample size, Justice Hill has had some explosive plays. Okay. And that's really why you play him at the minimum price for a running back play for a guy that did get a decent amount of snaps. Maybe the Buffalo Bills are winning in this game, and maybe that means that Justice Hill gets a few more carries or a few more targets in the passing game, to try to have those explosive plays. I could potentially see that. Like, that could happen. That could be within the realm of possibility. And really, you would only play him if you're trying to stack this game. Like, he's not a sexy pick. He's not someone you're going out of your way to play, but he is someone you could use in a game stack or in a situation in which you love a game stack build. That it doesn't have to be this game, and you have $4,000 left over and you need to fill that running back spot. He would be someone that I'm looking at. He would be the only one that I'm looking at running back wise in that specific scenario. All right, so getting into the receiver plays, I will say, like, value wise, Deontay Johnson's still too cheap. Tyler Lockett, for the amount of targets he's getting right now, 11 the past 2 weeks, he's too cheap. Devonta Smith, still too cheap. And then Curtis Samuel as the number one weapon in that offense, to me, still too cheap. Like, those are all fine value price point plays. I do think someone like Elijah Moore is going to have a bounce back game. I do think that Greg Dortch is still cheap. If Rondale Moore is not active, like, he is still too cheap. But really, where I want to start this off is going to be Romeo Dobbs. So Romeo Dobbs, I do assume that Christian Watson is going to be out in this one. So that would mean the Green Bay Packers' top receivers would be Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, and Romeo Dobbs. Romeo Dobbs came in and played his most snaps of the season, and he did a lot with them. 8 targets, 8 receptions, 73 yards, and a touchdown. Like, that's not fluky. Okay, we saw during the preseason, there was a lot of hype around Romeo Dobbs. Okay, and he came through. And at 4.5, even with this matchup against the New England Patriots, like, last week was a tough matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he still came through. Like, even with this matchup at 4.5, that is highly intriguing to me, to a guy that might be Aaron Rodgers' top passing weapon in week 4. And that's intriguing to me because you get Aaron Rodgers targeting a guy maybe 8 times, maybe 6 times. He should be able to hit value if that happens once again this week, like we expect it to happen. And the thing with, like, Romeo Dobbs is we should get that word from Matt LaFleur like we did in week 3. In week 3, Matt LaFleur came out and said, expect a lot of Romeo Dobbs. So if, like, Christian Watson is ruled out, again, like, I think we can just expect a lot of Romeo Dobbs once again this week. Another player that I do want to just touch on that's still kind of too cheap is going to be Noah Brown. 7, 5, and 9 targets. He has been over 10 DK points 3 straight weeks. If you guys are in that price point range and you want to play him, that's fine. He has a great matchup as well. So Matt Collins, I do just want to touch on Matt Collins. Price at 4.2. Okay, he got a huge price bump this week, as he should have. The Tennessee Titans, that was kind of an easy matchup. That was kind of easy value play to call out. I don't love him as much this week. Okay, Hunter Renfrow might be back. This is a very difficult matchup going against the Denver Broncos. But we have seen Matt Collins have a lot of success simply due to the fact that teams are putting an emphasis on guarding Devontae Adams. And with that, you got a lot of one-on-one with Matt Collins. Okay, Matt Collins is also the captain in this offense as well, or for this team, a captain on this team, which I just found out this week. I mean, that's kind of crazy. Good for him. But that just shows you that this team does like Matt Collins. Okay, so with that, like, it's no surprise that he has been playing in over 85% of the snaps. And you get a guy that's been playing in over 85% of the snaps, getting 10 and 8 targets. That's highly intriguing to me. And will that go away? It might. That'll probably go away a little bit. Like, maybe he gets 7, maybe he gets 6 in this one. But he has always kind of been a big play receiver. So if he is going to get 6 targets, like, all it really takes is like 2 big plays for him to hit value at this price point at 4.2. And once again, this matchup is great. He's not as appealing of a play this week as he was in a previous week, but still a fine play. Josh Palmer is another kind of value-based play that I want to point out as well. If Keenan Allen is out again this week, I am simply just going to be playing Josh Palmer. And if you guys watched that game, you saw Josh Palmer kind of get ripped or gypped out of a touchdown late in that game. For some reason, they just didn't review it. They're fine with the game clock running out and the game being over. Weird that the NFL would allow that, because it certainly looked like he got 2 feet in and had a touchdown late in that game. And then the cover boy, George Pickens. So George Pickens has been playing like 77 or 75% of the receiver snaps for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They've been doing a lot of 3 receiver sets. Okay, so they do spread the wealth. It is going to be a pecking order of Deontay Johnson, Najee Harris, and then either Chase Claypool, George Pickens, or Pat Freiermuth. Now, the biggest thing with George Pickens is that obviously he had that amazing catch. And I could see that being a snowball effect into like a really stellar game this week against the New York Jets, who have been, a pretty solid defense thus far. But at 3.8, that is something I'm willing to look at a little bit. And maybe, just maybe, Mitchell Trubisky gets replaced this week. Although I think we would have already gotten that news. Kenny Golladay just not looking good. We see that on film. We've seen the stuff on Twitter as well. Sterling Shepard is out. He tore his ACL. And then Robinson might be out as well. You guys are probably already knowing where I'm going with this. If Kadarius Tony is healthy and active, I see no way for the Giants to keep him off the field. Tony is an electric player, even if it hasn't really shown up on the box score. He had one big play get called back in week 2. They sat him out so that he could get healthy. If he is healthy, he should play a majority of the snaps. And all it takes is for him to play a majority of the snaps for him to break his slate. Could he get 5 targets for 70 yards and a touchdown? I think so. Now, if he does sit once again, then we might just be forced into playing, Richie James Jr., who is just a solid, backup, receiver number 3, receiver number 4. Like, you could play him. But honestly, we might just be forced into David Sills at the minimum price for a guy that's going to play like 90% of the snaps and potentially get 4 targets. Like, we might just be forced into that. I don't love that. That's a wait and see, but it might be something that we just have to do, unfortunately. And I'm not saying like a ton, but a little bit. Like in lineups in which we need to find a value play, he might be the one that we're going out of our way to play. And then at tight end, really the only like strong tight end play that I like is going to be Daniel Bellinger, who I saw 60% of the snaps the last 2 weeks. Had a good week last week, getting 5 targets for 8 DK points. That is pretty solid there. But I do also want to call out 2 other like okay value-based tight end plays. So Pharaoh Brown, he has seen his snap count go from 66% of the snaps in week 1 to 71% of the snaps to 81% of the snaps in week 3. He is someone that has seen the targets the last 2 weeks, getting 4 and 5 targets. Now, obviously, if you're down at this price point, you're not looking for an elite option. You're not looking for someone that can get you 12 DK points with the upside of a touchdown. You're looking for someone that's not going to get you 0. You're looking for someone that's going to get you around 6 DK points. And if that snap share continues for Pharaoh Brown, which it seems like it's going to, then yeah, he's a fine discounted price point tight end play. Like if you love the rest of your build and you're trying to find a tight end play, he'd be the one I'm looking at. And then if you're really, really down trying to find a tight end value play because you're just like, I need a minimum price tight end play to make this build work, well, Giovanni Ricci would be the one I would go with. He's looked good. He hasn't gotten a lot of chances, okay? And he's not even playing that much. It's like 40% of the snaps. But he does get the Arizona Cardinals, which have given up the most tight end points. And he's technically a fullback, I would say, more so than a tight end, guys. But he has kind of looked good. Like, it wouldn't shock me to see him get 3 targets and like a short touchdown. But at the same time, no one's counting on that. I'm not saying play him. I'm saying if you love your build and you need a minimum price tight end play, he would be the one minimum price tight end play that I think is all right. But that's all I have for you guys for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you guys want to join 9 to 5, become a member. It is $10 a month. It's focused on being a golf membership there, but included in that is a lineup builder for $10 a month. You can max enter GPP contests, whether that be for a showdown or main slate or full slate. We have that available for you for $10 a month. It's a great value there. And then we also have the cheat sheet available for you as well. That's all I have for you guys. Let's have a good week. Please like and subscribe. That helps the channel a lot. And as always, guys, let's keep cashing.